So we do want to welcome everybody here to our Indigenous Entrepreneurs podcast again, and glad that you're able to listen in on this recording. And thanks to Cecilia Pacheco, our program manager, for doing the recording for us and being in the background, so I don't have to worry about that. And so we're just glad that you could join us, and we want to let you know that the contact information for our program, the Tribal Entrepreneurship Enhancement Program at UNM, as well as our guest and myself, will be seen when you find our podcast on YouTube or Spotify. And so you can look for that when the time comes. And we're just glad to be able to do these podcasts. Our purpose for doing this is to share some success stories and share stories of people that will provide some encouragement to our entrepreneurial communities. Maybe they'll provide some examples of success that are out there. And today we have somebody that's sharing with us about the program that they are working for and making available to our communities that will benefit our communities as well as the entrepreneurs that are part of those communities. And so hopefully that'll be a good example for folks as well. We want to let people know about the businesses and the programs that are being featured on our podcast, so that others are more aware of who they are, take advantage of some of those resources. We want to help our entrepreneurs to maybe to dream a little bit more, to envision what they want to bring into reality, and even think about how to make that dream more of a reality. And maybe by listening to some of these stories, they will find that inspiration and be able to do a little bit more work in that area. And sometimes we can even help with that process as well, with some of the services that we provide through our program. That's one of the things that I do as a coach, is help people to sort of think into their dream and what it takes to make that dream a reality. And then we want to help people identify their next step. And maybe by listening to these stories, you'll be able to identify what your next step needs to be. And so we're glad that you're here. And I want to introduce our guest today. His name is Darryll Felipe. He is indigenous from the Acoma Pueblo here in New Mexico, and he manages the TERO program there in Acoma. Been at that task and at that job for over 10 years. So he's an expert in the world of TERO. So Darryll, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your program, and then we'll dive in and learn a little bit more about you. I'll ask you some questions to help with that process. Okay.
Well, good morning, Scott. Thank you for introducing me, and good morning to everyone, or good afternoon, whichever the case may be, whether you're in my time zone or some other time zone. Yes, welcome to the Pueblo of Acoma. My name is Darryll Felipe. I'm the TERO manager. TERO stands for Tribal Employment Rights Office, and I've been doing this for well over 10 years. I've been actually working for the tribe longer than that in other capacities, even for our gaming facility as a marketing manager. So I put in quite a few years. I hail from this pueblo, as you can see in my background. That's our old village, which is situated about 15, 20 minutes from where I'm sitting right now in my office. And Acoma, if you don't know where it is or never been out here, is about 60 miles west of Albuquerque on I-40. And people think that when they pass through on I-40 that they're seeing the old village, but it's actually about 15, 20 minutes south of the freeway. But yes, I'm happy to be here to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and how we can people giving them a helping hand, a hand up, if you will, not a handout, but a hand up into getting started. And usually what happens is that the TERO program, and I can explain a little bit about that.
Yeah.
The TERO program is a program that was enacted by our tribal council in 2016. It was enacted through a tribal resolution, so it became tribal law. And what it does is it has two components to it. One is a higher Native American hiring preference clause, and the other is a percentage fee that we charge all contractors coming on to the red tribal lands. And the Native American hiring preference, we have a goal of 25%. Well, in the past, most contractors used to bring a crew out and never hire any local help or any local community members on those job sites. So with that ordinance in place, it helps protect the community members, and it also gives them a chance to be on that hiring crew, based on the percentage of the number of core crew people that the contractors bring out on the tribal lands. And then of course we charge them a 3% fee, and that's based on their total contract. And with that fee, we use to help pay for training to a lot of our tribal community members. We've trained well over 100 people from the tribe and certified them in heavy equipment operation, welding, flagging, and just lately we've been certifying them in CDL licensing to drive not only school buses but heavy equipment and other items, limousines and that type of thing, through our program. And that's where that 3% comes into hand. Lately, we've been tinkering around with maybe helping, since there's a shortage of contractors for some reason out there in the contractor land, if you will. We started to think about maybe providing some training for local community members to become actual licensed contractors. We have approximately 3 right now on our reservation, which is not quite near what we would like to see, as far as contractors, licensed contractors. But they're very busy. In fact, I had one visit the other day, and he said, asked him if he needed some people. He said, yes, I need as many as you can send to me, because we have jobs galore and we just can't keep up with this. So he goes, I'm actually having to turn down contracts, which is good news, if you will. But it's bad for some of the people that are looking for our contractors to perform some of their jobs that they have out here at the reservation.
Yeah.
So the entrepreneurship program we're looking at is through what we call the Community Development Office. It's a separate program, and they take care of all contracts that come through the reservation. But they also look for innovative ways to help the Pueblo as far as like an incubator program. They're actually thinking about actually building a separate building north of here, just a few yards, where it will become an incubator program for entrepreneurs to start up in everything, all facets, including contractor licensing. So they're dedicating a whole new building as an incubator program, which is really nice to hear. Of course, it's a few years away from actual fruition, but at least that idea is on the table.
Right. Well, that's great. That's great. That's the kind of progress and development and whatnot that we love to see within our Native communities from our perspective. As we've gotten around and visited with some of our different communities and some of our different entrepreneurs, we know that how important it is to have some of that local support for our entrepreneurs so that it's within easy reach for them as they, go down that path and take that journey of being an entrepreneur. And so you mentioned about 3 different contractors so far that are Native owned. Is that right?
Correct. That is, they are Native owned and right here from this community. And we would like to see a whole lot more than that.
Yeah.
I've had people come in taking interest in having a food truck business, mobile food, HVAC company, things like that. So, everything you could think of. And I think with the help of your programs too, that you and Cecilia provide, that we can get some of these people to see that goal. They're at the end of the light, or at the end of the, and see them, get them get them off and running with the startup business.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like you've met a number of other folks that are entrepreneurs already. Can you tell us about maybe one or two of the others that you've met in particular that are going down that path in their life?
I've met two tribal community members that have now owned their own food truck business, and they actually set up here around the tribal buildings in the mornings to provide some breakfast burritos, set up in that noon time for some lunch people to, because the nearest town or the nearest food areas would be the casino, which is about a good 15-20 minutes away, and the town of Grants, which is about 30 minutes away.
Right.
So a lot of the employees just want to grab something, and they, of course, everybody hates making their own lunch. They like something hot. So
Yeah.
these food trucks provide a lot of amenities for these tribal employees. And right now, the tribe employs well over 250 employees just right here in this little campus where I'm talking to you from, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. And a lot of the other entrepreneurs that are here on the reservation are mostly traditional type people. They are we are pottery making type of tribe. So there's quite a bit of entrepreneurs that are on their own, making, forming, selling, marketing their own products right now as we speak. Of course, with the inclement weather that's going on, that makes it a little bit tough, but a lot of them are dabbling in doing sales on the internet, which is a new venue for them. So we try to help them out when they ask for, like websites design and that type of thing. So that's how we can help, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I was just going to ask. How have you been able to help those particular entrepreneurs? Because I know I come from a family that is well known for the pottery as well, and we've done a lot of made a lot of progress in that area as far as being entrepreneurs. But I know there's additional progress that still a lot of our entrepreneurs who are artists want to make, as well as the other areas of business as well. And so I think anything we can do to help them along. And so anything else that you've been able to help folks with as they have gone down that path as entrepreneurs?
We've also were instrumental in helping develop our road system here in Acoma. We have only two ways to get on to I-40, and one is north of us, northwest, I guess I would say, and then the other is southwest that leads into Albuquerque and requires us to cross the Burlington Northern Railroad. And of course, there's trains coming through there night and day, and sometimes you get stuck on that. It's very hazardous for our emergency people, police, safety, even our ambulance drivers could hinder services. So the Community Development Office is looking at extending a bridge over halfway through the village and over to the north side of to reach I-40, which won't impede traffic and kept free flowing. But we were instrumental in offering our idea that this road should be near some of our commercial area, because we do have some community members that have food business with a little small restaurant, haircutting facilities, flower shops. And so we said this would be an ideal corridor to go through where people, their foot traffic would actually increase with the bridge now going through right in front of their front door, basically, if you will.
Yeah, it's so important for communities to be able to support the entrepreneurial communities in those kinds of ways as well. So I know that that's probably one of the things that you really desire, is to create more partnership with the entrepreneurial community and the services that you provide even through your program. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I work closely with the taxation department, and we're developing other programs that would help give entrepreneurs a foot up, if you will, as far as startup programs, software, that type of thing, even tax breaks. I've been talking with the tax administrator here at the tribe to say if there's something we can give an incentive to some of these entrepreneurs that want to start up a business, Because yeah, we're well aware that a good tax base also helps the tribe. But
Mhm.
you know, when you have a startup company, they look for ways to get started without having to put up a lot of upfront money. So we've been in discussions about how we can help the entrepreneurs set up. He said, for one thing, that incubator program that I mentioned earlier would be a good way to disseminate information about how to start up. And even if they enroll in the program, they would be given the opportunity to have maybe their first year or 2 years waived as far as taxes or prevent gross receipts and that type of thing.
Uh-huh.
So those are some of the ways that we're thinking about as entrepreneurship and putting on our entrepreneur hat and thinking about ways to help our own new entrepreneurs hit the road running.
Yeah, I really like that picture of putting on of other people who are not entrepreneurs
Excuse me.
putting on their entrepreneur hat
Mhm.
and sort of putting themselves in the shoes of the entrepreneur to see how they might be able to best help those folks and you know that kind of thing. So I think that's really great. I'm
Good.
wondering what have you seen in terms of the benefit of strengthening the entrepreneurial community?
Excuse me.
That's all right. um, what have you seen as far as the benefits of strengthening the entrepreneurial community there in Acoma? Have you been able to observe benefits from that in general to the community?
Well, we haven't seen it really take off like we would like it to. A lot of it, the entrepreneurs got the energy to take, you know, classes on how to start up or the requirements for starting up a business. But a lot of them fear the need to get funding. So providing startup capital is kind of a big hindrance to them.
Uh,
Not a whole lot of them have great credit, but we try to provide them programs like some of them that are in Albuquerque that help startup companies, you know, without having a whole lot of credit behind them and help them get started. That we try to emphasize that there is money available out there. It may not be a whole lot, but at least to help them get their foot off the ground, basically.
yeah, there really is a lot of resources out there. Um, and I just had a conversation with a gal that works for the for a program um, in that's based in San Juan, actually,
Mm.
Okewinge, but they have offices here in Rio Rancho, and um, they've been going about 3 years, and they've got resources. They've got you know resources that are available to folks, and so there are resources available. There's funding of different types. I think she even mentioned some kind of a zero interest kind of a loan situation. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of creative ways that are being implemented nowadays to
Right.
help our entrepreneurs. And so, and I know from my own experience that it really is helpful to tap into those. And like my mom used to say, you don't know until you ask.
Right, right.
um,
I'm hoping that the contracts will get plentiful here where I can develop a budget line item that will help startup companies. You know,
yeah,
may not it just be maybe small seed money, but something just to maybe if they're going to do a food truck, maybe some insurance money for them. Maybe purchase of a used vehicle until they get up and running. Those
yeah,
type of things. Not a whole lot, but at least a little bit of seed money. Um,
yeah. That's really helpful for small entrepreneurs a lot of times, just to take one step at a time and uh, help them to move from one level of business to the next. Help them to
right,
make one small purchase of needed equipment um, at a time that can be really helpful.
right.
I'm wondering on a sort of on a personal level, sort of what led you into this type of work in the first place? That's a unique program that you're heading up. What was your journey, um, and what led you to that to doing that kind of work?
Well, most of my education had to do with marketing. I've sold a lot. I've been a salesman for probably about well over 30, 40 years. selling everything from insurance products to used cars to new cars, and selling for major companies like New York Life, Principal Mutual, Toyota in Albuquerque, Chevrolet. So I had a lot of marketing background, and I saw the need when I wanted to start my own company that capital was the toughest part. I learned everything, the ins and out, how to set up a budget, how to, do all the paperwork, but it was the green money, the green paper that was hard to come by. And,
Yeah.
and then if you don't have a whole lot of credit or something to put behind your business, then it's very tough to climb that hill. So I started out slowly. I was a radio host for over 10 years in Albuquerque at UNM.
Oh.
And yeah, and so I started seeing and taking on MC duties for not only powwows but other events.
Uh-huh.
Did a little comic relief there for a while, and then I saw that a lot of these businesses and organizations throughout New Mexico didn't have a whole lot of places to go to when it came to audio for their events. So
Right.
I said, well, if I can't be in front of the mic, maybe I can be behind the mic and provide audio equipment to some of these companies or these organizations at a minimum cost. So that's what I started. I started a company called Bluestone Productions, and I have several DJs that work for me if people want music or karaoke, for that matter, for their
Uh,
events, or if they just want flat out audio services, we provide that. And it's mostly weekend warrior stuff. I don't do it on a full-time basis. It's just right now, I guess my biggest client would be the Sky City Casino and Miss Indian New Mexico. Annually for them. We provide audio services for them
uh-huh.
when they have their pageant every year.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I
Well,
have a little bit of entrepreneurship experience myself.
yeah, you sure do. And it's I didn't know that about you. And so, it's always good to learn things about folks, and you don't know things about folks until you have the conversation, right? Um,
Right, right,
I know a lot of times in the business world and sales and stuff like that, it's just about having conversations and getting to
right,
know people and making connections, and that's part of what we're all doing here with our podcast and with our program. We're just connecting the dots for people, helping them to make connections to the right people, and maybe we can even, provide them a little business along the way, or
right.
vice versa along the way as well. I know I met an entrepreneur recently who does pizzas, and I bought a pizza from him, a native entrepreneur,
Right.
and so one of our up and coming food truck um, entrepreneurs, and so that's great. Well, good, good. Um, well, what about as we wrap things up a little bit? We'll just maybe wrap up on one thing. Um, if you could identify, you know, one or two of the biggest problems that you'd like to help the entrepreneurial community overcome, what do you think that might be?
Um, I think the fear of commitment would be probably the biggest. Um, when they realize that this is going to be their career, and nobody else is not going to help them, it's all on their own.
Yeah,
They may get help here and there and free advice, but when it all comes to the end, they're the ones that are going to make or break themselves.
yeah,
And then and jumping into the cold water, some people know how can swim and some, can't swim. And then there's some that do well. It's a hit and miss type of deal. And if you give somebody enough bullets, they won't miss. They'll hit the target.
that's
So
yeah,
so that getting over that fear, and then like I said again, the other thing is help them with some seed money just to get them started, up and
right.
running, knowing that they have a little bit of financial backing to get their idea that they have had in their mind probably for some time. I know off on the ground, off the paper, and actually into reality. So
Right,
that's probably the two biggest things I see:
right, right,
commitment and financial help.
right, right. Well, we are definitely in the business of helping provide the bullets for folks, and maybe even giving them a little bit more ability to carry a few more bullets than they used to,
Right.
so that they can make the progress and accomplish what they want to. I know that's part of what it takes when we're going through life, and when we're uh, um, in pursuing a new venture of any kind, whether it's education or we're learning a new skill, learning a new sport. We're learning how to be an entrepreneur. We're learning to own and run and make our business profitable. It's all about increasing our capacity to be able to do that.
Right.
Developing more of our skills, just bringing more people around us that have the skills that we need. So it's really, a lot of it is about building that capacity, and if we're just willing to engage in that kind of journey, then we can do more than we think, right? And
Right.
we don't have to be so scared that we're not willing to take a chance sometimes. And so that's great. Well, thank you, Darrell. I appreciate the fact that you've been with us, and that you're doing the work that you're doing, and it's having an impact. And I know that as both of us continue to help entrepreneurs, that we will see even more of an impact on the communities and on the individuals and the families that we're helping. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for being with us today for this chat that we've had.
Sure. It was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, good deal.